The New York Times reports that party donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters. And they're spending $20 million on an effort to try to figure out how to speak to young men.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America, welcome to the eulogy, eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in DUMBmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. Hope you all out there had a very nice Memorial Day weekend, nice 3-day weekend, filled with barbecues and fun. Summer's here now. For me, it was not so much. You see, I had a lot to catch up on around the house. Lawns to be mowed, overgrowth to be cut back and trimmed back away from fences. A lot of work for me over the weekend. It wasn't all barbecues and beaches and fun for me. Lots of manly work, as they say.
What are you getting at?
Something Democrats seem to want to get back in touch with. How's that for a segue? Look at this article here. Democrats are spending millions to learn how to speak to American men and win back the working class. That's going to be a pretty tall task to do. You see, the Democratic Party, they've made a conscious effort to feminize their party. And I'm not saying that as a pejorative. I'm saying that as a reality. The patriarchy and men were told to take a back seat in the Democrat Party and let other people drive. And they drove right into a ditch, didn't they, in the 2024 election cycle. So here they are now, 6 months later, trying to figure out how they can get back in touch with those that have lost faith in them. There's been a lot of hand-wringing and a lot of money being spent by Democrats to get back on track with men. We're going to review some of the news stories that came out over the weekend and recently, talking about the Dems throwing millions at consultants once again, sitting around in luxury trying to figure out what's going on in everyday America. And we'll see how that's all going to work out. But before we get to all this news, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you're seeing here in this or any other video on this here channel, you know what to do. You're going to smash that thumbs up button like a man. Be sure to like, share, comment, all that really, really good stuff, because all that's going to help this channel grow via the YouTube algorithm as we continue down the road towards 3,000 subscribers. As always, gang, thank you so much for all that you do to help grow the channel. You know, I appreciate all those efforts. And whether you're a returning viewer or a newbie, I hope this video earns a subscription as we talk about a larger issue, really, than what the Democrats have even focused on recently in the news. It's not just about winning back men. It's also about finding that authenticity that Republicans tapped into in the 2024 election cycle. Can Democrats get back to actually being truthful, honest, and authentic in their messaging? And before we get to this clip, just a quick reminder that tonight, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, me and Ross Galloway, we're going back behind enemy lines, talking about all the news of the past week and whatever comes up today as well. That's tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. It's our weekly live stream, Behind Enemy Lines.
The midterms fast approaching, and a full 6 months after November's electoral drubbing, the Democratic Party appears to still be in fact-finding mode. The New York Times reports that party donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working-class voters. And they're spending $20 million on an effort to try to figure out how to speak to young men. Quote, "It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces."
What a waste of money.
You gotta be kidding me right now. Are they looking up some dead civilization from thousands of years ago? They need to find a Rosetta Stone to understand men? I was always told by everyone that men are simple creatures. We have very simple needs, yet Democrats are going to be spending $20 million to try to understand the lifestyle of the American man. Is there going to be like an English narrator and a documentary made from all this as they study and observe the ways of the American male in its natural habitat? I thought I was being funny by doing that with a book, but they're going full hog on this one. No pun intended to David Hogg. I got to give it up, though, to the grifter class here, though, man. They're coming up with new and more innovative and interesting ways to bilk millions out of the Democratic Party. Hats off to the grifters, man. You're the real heroes of this story.
I want to bring in Megan Hayes, a former special assistant to President Biden, and Basil Smikle is back with me. You're both smiling. Donors and strategists, Megan, have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters. The Times says these new projects can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. What do you see in here?
Well, it's great that we're being a little bit more introspective. That's always helpful. But I think that the Democrats have forgot that maybe we should just talk to people like people. We don't need to do studies on it. We don't need to meet at hotels. How about we just go to community meetings and meet people where they are on social media and their different forms and platforms that they are. But I think that the Democrats have forgot how to talk to normal people about things that are really important to them, like the economy. So it's I think a really good lesson to learn. But I also think we just need to get back to basics.
Oh, wow, what a concept.
And she didn't even need $1 million to say that. Getting back to basics. Talk to people, like we used to do before social media came around and we started becoming tribal and more dug into our positions. Actually going to people where they are in middle America, in flyover country, other places like that, and find out what kitchen table issues are important to them. We've been talking about that for months, if not years, here on this channel. Maybe that's why Republicans have been doing better in polls and been doing better in elections. They're actually speaking to real world concerns of people, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or independent. That always seems to resonate.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Don't talk about transgender bathrooms or trans athletes in NCAA sports. Know what a woman is. Know what a man is. Know basic, simple things. Americans, especially American men, very simple people. They want to provide for their families. They want to earn a good living. They want to be prosperous and happy. And more importantly, they want people to leave them alone when it comes to intrusions into their life. They don't want to talk about, the issues that have been celebrated by the fringe left. They don't care about it. They care about how government affects their own lives. That's it. You don't need $20 million to say that. You found it out in 30 seconds on a show on MSDNC. Who'd have thunk it?
I think, Basil, another very informative little phrase, and you're the academic here, but when you're trying to figure out the syntax, language, and content, are you getting ahead?
Yeah, no, you're not. This is not, I really have no understanding what that is, because honestly, if somebody needed to come talk to me, just come talk to me. Actually, go find me and come and talk to me. Don't do it in a hotel. Don't study me like this is some academic exercise. That is exactly why we're not winning, because because Democrats have been accused of looking and sounding too elitist. That's a problem. And the truth, look, the reality is.
Yeah, you know what strikes me? Because if you talk to some of these folks, and I can just tell you anecdotally, but, obviously there are lots of people doing focus groups on this, that these folks don't like Donald Trump.
Well, we were so close.
Putting the whole Trump derangement aside for a second. These people, Chris Lansing and Basil Smikle here, are already putting a barrier up between themselves and the people they want to reach. Those people over there, not us, them. By creating this us and them mentality, there's already this artificial separation. How do we reach them? No, you want to become like them. You want to engage with them. You want them to become us. Stop putting up these barriers of discussion here. Yeah, you may not agree on a majority of things. You probably agree on, let's say, 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 things. Let's say half. That should be good enough for you to engage with them and try to convince them about other issues where you may get closer to agreement. But when you put up that barrier of you people, I don't care whether you're talking about race, ethnicity, gender, orientation, whatever it is, when you put up that you people barrier, that's where you get into trouble. Democrats have been creating barriers and pigeonholes for all these different groups that have to be in their own little cubbyhole and all have to believe the same thing, that they're unwilling to engage with people who may agree with them some of the time, and they still may be able to win them over. But because they don't check all the boxes, they're discarded as you people.
No one's better than anyone else.
Megan, the Times also writes that Democrats have led, indeed, focus groups where voters are asked to name an animal that best describes the Democratic Party. One man said, a deer in headlights.
And that's pretty damn good. There's analysis paralysis going on here with Democrats. They're so busy trying to contrive a theory and come up with a plan that they're stopping their own analysis short of what they should be doing, which is letting the voters tell them what to think and then championing those issues. If you're going to represent a people, then represent the people. Don't tell the people what they should believe. The people tell you what they need and what they believe. That's really how it is. But right now, Democrats are so scared to offend one group or another group or a third group if they say something, that there's this analysis paralysis going on where all they have is to throw stones at the evil orange man. They have the TDS that they can just cling on to because they think if they hate something enough, people will come around and hate that thing with them. But that's not how America works. America is aspirational. America wants a plan. Americans want a direction forward. That's why, as of today, according to Rasmussen polls,
for the first time in our polling history, a majority of the electorate says the country's headed in the right direction. Absolutely stunning. Net +5. Never seen anything like that.
And that's because they were offered a plan forward. Democrats may not agree with that plan that was going forward, but Democrats didn't offer a vision of their own. That's the problem here. Democrats need to reverse their thinking if they're going to survive in this next election coming up, which may seem like it's far away right now to the average voter like you and me, but to Democrats, it's right around the corner. It's like prep time now. You need to get started now if you want to try to take back the House or take back the Senate. It's crunch time for them, and they're holding up in luxury hotels, eating and drinking and being merry, wondering what's wrong with you people and how can we get back in touch with you people.
You stand there and you see the car coming, but you're going to stand there and get hit with it anyway. Changing perception, obviously, it's not a 1 month thing. It's not even a 1 year job. But what can Democrats do? Because the midterms will be here before they know it.
Right. I mean, the Democrats didn't get into this place of one election cycle. It wasn't just 2024. This has been going on for many years. So I think it's going to take the Democrats time. But I do think that that Congress was very aligned on their messaging with the bill that was passed in the House. And I think that they are very aligned and they're out there and talking to their communities and their constituents. And I think they need to be aligned on that and continue to stay aligned on. They care about the economy. They care about keeping 14 million people with their health insurance, and the 18 million kids keep getting food. And I think that those are the things that the Democrats are aligned on. I think they need to continue to stay aligned on what's important to the American people and what's important to the moderates. And that is the economy. It's the cost of housing, the cost of education, the cost of groceries. Those are the things that impact everyday people. And, you know, you're totally right. No one is talking about Joe Biden and who knew what when. They're talking about how much it is to pay for groceries and how they're going to get their kids to school every day. So it's just, we need to be more aligned with where people are who are actually voting and not what the DC bubble is.
And she said that dreaded M word, moderates. No one ever thinks of the moderates. The fringes usually control the party's direction. Look who's controlling the party now. It's the party of AOC, of Bernie Sanders, of Jasmine Crockett, and every other loony out there right now that just has TDS and is trying to pull the party further to the left.
Some kind of freaky little something I could do.
If these are your standard bearers, how are they going to relate to those voters that you need, those independent voters that lean left, that are more moderate? No one's ever talking to them. You know who did talk to them? Donald Trump. So while Democrat grifters and consultants and the cognoscenti of the Democratic Party are holed up in luxury hotels, spending millions of dollars trying to observe in the wild the ways of the average American male, on the other side of things, other Democrats are looking to try to create virality, as if that's even possible. People out there are actually trying to reverse engineer the lightning in the bottle that Republicans captured in 2024 when it came to the authenticity of viral content, podcasts, the Joe Rogan effect, and things like that. There are actually people out there trying to find, get this, the left's version of Joe Rogan. Spoiler alert, you had it and you lost it. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. As we head down this MSDNC rabbit hole, the conversation turns to podcasts and other viral content. Again, Democrats are looking to throw money at a problem rather than finding an authentic solution.
All right, there's no doubt that podcasts and influencers played a pivotal role in shaping the 2024 election. Shows like the Joe Rogan Experience certainly helped Donald Trump and Republicans connect with millions of Americans, including key swing state voters and younger audiences. And now Democrats are looking to replicate that model. According to the New York Times, liberal strategists are pushing the party's rich backers to help assemble an army of left-leaning online influencers to create their own podcast empire. But as the Time notes, right-leaning touchstones like Rogan's podcast were not built by political donors and did not rise overnight. So can the party really podcast their way back into power? What do you think of that line?
Podcast their way back into power was powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful line.
A lot of beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Jason is back with us. So first of all, give us this. First, I mean, your take on this theory that somehow if you had the right podcast, it would have landed better. Voters would have reacted differently. Because I'm old enough to remember Joe Rogan coming out in support of Bernie Sanders.
I know.
When the Democratic Party was like, we don't want to have anything to do with Bernie Sanders. If they would have at the time said, okay, let's see what this populist message is. And if it does resonate with voters, maybe Joe Rogan today would be...
Right, the Joe Rogan of the left.
The Joe Rogan of the left.
They had the Joe Rogan of the left. He endorsed Bernie. But it's a little weird to try and reverse engineer it this way.
Right.
And I'm not saying I don't want somebody to give me lots of money. I have a podcast.
You'd accept the job.
I would accept it. But it's a little weird to reverse engineer it. It's like kind of like you want to write a book, but you make a movie of it first to write the book.
Right.
It's like not the natural order of things a little bit. I do understand wanting to right some of the wrongs from 2024.
Yeah.
Because 2024, I mean, one, there was Joe Biden as president who was not doing interviews with traditional media and certainly was not like sitting down for podcasts.
Yeah.
And then Harris was in there with a very small campaign where she had time to run it. And it kind of became a world where these people were not even thinking about sitting down. That was the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the reasons that many people point to that Kamala Harris lost the election, besides being a crappy candidate, is that she refused to go on Joe Rogan. She had a whole list of demands, wanted to limit the time, wanted to do it via Zoom, things like that. That all came out, and Joe Rogan was happy to tell everybody about that. You can't reverse engineer a Joe Rogan if you're the DNC or the RNC for that matter. Joe Rogan made himself. He has his own views. He has his own opinions. He's authentic, which is what neither party is. Now, the Trump campaign had the right candidate in Donald Trump who loves to talk to people and speak where they're at, to go on to Joe Rogan, speak for hours with him, talk about subjects that were unlimited. Nothing was out of bounds. Kamala Harris wanted to limit topics, wanted to limit time, and she wanted to control everything. Democrats, the DNC, as we've seen from the whole thing with David Hogg and this new election coming up for vice chair in their party, need to control things. Think about this. What was the last election where Democrats in their own primary system felt like they were in control of their elections? Was it 2024? No, they didn't even have elections. They just crowned Joe Biden. And then when Biden withdrew, they just crowned Kamala Harris. Was it 2020? No, because again, you had a system set up for the frontrunner Joe Biden to win. Was it 2016? That was the year of the superdelegate where Bernie was winning primary after primary, yet he was losing in the delegate count in an almost insurmountable way. It was impossible for him to win. You got to go back to really 2008 when Barack Obama won and Democratic voters actually voiced that vote for him. They actually voted for him and they got him as the nominee. You got to go way back to then. It's been over a decade now, almost 2 decades when you think about it, since Democratic voters had the opportunity to voice their opinion.
I can't remember that far back.
And I understand the impulse. You want to like get a little bit younger. You want to seem a little bit younger. But if you are 24 years old right now and you are maybe voted in the first election, this last election, your only idea of Democrats is Joe Biden. Like the two presidents you kind of remember now or were engaged in during the time they were in office were Trump and Joe Biden.
And that's certainly hard to sell to young people. I grant you that. But look at the people who are trying to sell things online. Let's look at some of these younger influencers that were out there in 2024 and the horrible job that they did. The Chris Mallory's of the world and the Harry Sissons of the world. I mean, they're out there thinking that they're nightmare fuel to the right. Meanwhile, those of us on the right looking at them can't stop laughing at the shit job that they're doing in trying to influence people. In fact, they are the best representation of the inauthenticity of the Democratic Party. Do you think that the average person would look at Chris Mallory and Harry Sisson and say, yep, I want to be like them. Yep, I'm going to believe what they believe because they are the personification of men. I mean, for goodness sakes, White Dudes for Harris was the ultimate epic fail when it came to messaging about Democrats and men.
Flashback.
A woman president, man. How exciting.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Over the last few years, you know, I've been thinking a lot about men.
I'm sure you have.
What a variety of whiteness we have here. It's like a rainbow of beige.
God, why are you so awkward?
Kamala Harris smiles. She laughs. She dances.
Like Bozo the Clown?
We hear about white men congregating and we think of tiki torches and AR-15s and the Klan.
Oh, don't give me that liberal bullshit.
End of flashback.
This is what they have to recover from. They have to change their entire way of thinking because their idea of what a male voter is not what the reality of what a male voter is. And if they're trying to capture it with influencers and spending millions of dollars on them, that's a path to further ruin for the DNC. Democrats, save your millions. Save all that money. The answers have been in front of you the whole time. And it's been coming from Republicans trying to tell you what you need to do. Republicans like CNN's Scott Jennings, who was saying this to you during the campaign and immediately after.
They have to come up with a message that doesn't feel contrived, that doesn't feel like it's made up just for the moment. There's just no authenticity in any of this. This is throwing spaghetti at the wall because they've neglected men, you know, all this time. And this is a political party that thinks gender is just a state of mind. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we have trouble with moderate biological males. I mean, who is surprised about this?
Yeah, but
the story tonight is they're struggling with men. Obama's insulting men. And they're out saying, well, let's fix it by sending Tim Walz out and hiring Mitt Romney. It's crazy to me.
And there it is. Authenticity. Kamala Harris was inauthentic. Tim Walz was inauthentic. Kamala Harris refused to go on Joe Rogan because the topics had to be limited and the time had to be limited and the way she appeared had to be limited. She had to have control of everything. Tim Walz, everyone thought that he was going to be able to bring men back into the party when after years and years of feminization, again, not a pejorative, a reality of villainizing the patriarchy, you then bring in Tim Walz with his Elmer Fudd hat and his contrived hunting trip and his inauthentic military background that people called out from day one. And you think that putting two inauthentic people together is going to somehow magically create votes that you didn't have before. People can smell bullshit a mile away, especially when it's being presented to them day after day after day. Democrats have a lot of work to do. They need to win back a lot of trust. And the only way you can do that is by letting go of the reins a little bit on the party, start acting like normal freaking human beings, deal with kitchen table issues, meet people where they are, and actually believe what you're saying. Stop playing to the fringes. Stop pigeonholing everybody. Actually work for the betterment of everyone rather than your favored communities.
Never gonna happen.
Tell me what you guys think about my opinion. Am I giving them good advice? Do you want me to not give them good advice and tell them to just keep on doing what you're doing? Let's get into the comments and discuss this video together. And as always, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell like a man so you don't miss any other shows. I definitely want to know what you guys think about this video. And remember, again, tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going back behind enemy lines. I hope to see you there during our live stream. We're going to talk about this video and every other shenanigan and buffoonery going on this week in DUMBmocracy.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.